Really? The Columbine was only 13. That's like
how many did you say were Nevada?
Of 60.
60?
Yeah. Yeah. Columbine was like one of the biggest ones you know about. Only 13. Not to say that's good, but...
I mean, none of it's good.
No. And it ranks number 11. That's great. I just clicked on this link and it shows them all. Another one, 2009, Fort Hood in Fort Hood, Texas, 13. And that's as high as it goes. So there's been 13 mass shootings in the United States, ranked from 12 to 1. Fort Hood being the lowest of 13 deaths, and then Vegas being 60. 60 is a fucking lot. Like I said, this dude, there's that's like the cap. The only one that was even below that was the gay bar.
And that's
Pulse
how we're
nightclub.
going to start today's episode.
Okay.
On a slightly somber note.
Did you already start it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm D.
This is Lynn.
We're Project Airwaves.
Okay, I didn't even know you were going.
Very informative of you,
Why
sir.
didn't you tell me, man?
Thank you. No, that was very informative.
no,
You didn't skip a beat.
I was just going into
He
detail.
was just going.
I was going into
So
detail.
if you haven't already figured it out, we're kind of going to be talking about a serious topic. We're not going to linger on it too long. Everybody and their mom knows about it.
Yeah.
Was it Uvalde, Texas shooting?
Uvalde, Uvalde, Texas.
So the elementary school shooting, of course, it's heartbreaking. It's not stuff you want to hear about, but we're going to cover it. We're going to talk about it, tell you our feelings, give you our 2 cents, and just kind of, to me, it sucks saying, but you don't want to just say like, hopes and prayers or, well wishes and stuff, because it just doesn't feel like it does anything.
When I was at work today, and it's not to come off trying to be cold or anything like that, obviously not condolences, but like,
right.
Just hopes and prayers. Obviously, it's the universal thing that everybody says, but then you hear a lot of people through different social media platforms that are saying, they make it political. They say it's due to the left doing this and the right doing this, and why gun laws should still be enforced. But no matter how many laws we say we're going to enforce, nothing changes because the same shit fucking happens. One of the charts that I brought up because we were trying to do the research on this so we don't obviously butcher it is seeing, where this was, how many people passed, and what were the outcomes. And it gave me a list of the top 12. I guess there was 12 mass shootings that there's been in America. And unfortunately,
that's so sad that's a fucking statistic.
It's a statistic. And unfortunately,
I mean?
The number ranked one is what happened here for October 1st. It said there were 60 deaths. I honestly thought it was lower, especially for me being present for all of that. 60 seems like a lot. And then the one right at
it is.
But then I feel like the worst situation more or less would be is that this was 60 within a very large open area because it was in the Route 91 Harvest Festival. The one underneath that was the second one, which I'm not going to go all the way down 1 through 10.
Right.
But the one underneath that was Pulse nightclub. It was the the gay bar that they had in Florida, and that one was 49. 49 in a closed area is I mean, that's like more. I don't know that I'd want it to be open to close. Like, I don't know if I'd want to be outside being shot at opposed to being inside.
I just don't want to be shot at, period.
In general. But it's so sad that rather than this taking a really big point for a long period of time and for things to change to better, it gets summed down to a small statistic of, if you look at this mass shooting, it ranks only number 7.
Yeah.
Out of the 12.
Isn't that kind of fucking twisted?
They're ranking it based off of the body count, not off of, what happened.
Right.
Even Columbine. Columbine on here was... Columbine's a big one that most of us grew up on, and Columbine was ranked number 11 with 13 deaths.
Wow.
So it's just...
But see, my thing is, it's not about how many people die. It's the fact that it's happening at all. You know what I mean? Because when we were growing up, at least I thought, mass shootings happening at the mall. They happen maybe at a church or something. Some big open
another one on here
public
too.
area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you start hearing about school shootings. And so with this one, it just kind of, what really hit me, I guess, I'm older. When Columbine happened, we were, teenagers, I think?
It said Columbine was 1999.
Yeah, we were, we were teenagers. Because I was 88, so I was 11 years old. So not even a full-blown teenager when Columbine happened.
Yeah, we were still in middle school.
It didn't hit me the same way this one did. And of course, all the other ones coming up. But this one was just... It was tough to listen to because you hear about the gunman being this, 18, 19-year-old kid. He took out his grandma, his mom.
I didn't do a whole lot of research into it. I wasn't trying to window my way into it. I'm a very empathetic individual. So if I do get involved mentally, I become obsessed with it. And it's like hearing about it, I kind of just tried to shut my brain.
Even I had to hear about it kind of not third hand.
I heard about it on Monday.
But give me the footnotes.
It'd been footnotes throughout the week of kind of what's
right.
going on. But all I got out of that was just 18 years old, for some reason going to an elementary school, and then killed 19 children, and then 2 adults.
So from what I heard, he took out his grandma, went to the school. I guess he had posted some stuff on Facebook or social media somewhere, not being explicit about him going to that school, but about what he was going to do. He had purchased like some automatic rifles prior to, a whole bunch of ammunition. And it was just, when you hear of a school shooting, you're like, okay, some guy was just fired randomly and he hit a few people and was hoping for the best. This one kind of hit me hard because it was like, dude, he barricaded himself in a room and started taking out the people in the room. And it was like, he didn't go in there specifically to shoot a particular person. We had that other shooting that was at, I think, a swap meet or a mall or something, where the gunman specifically was going after colored people, black, Latinos. You know, if you had darker than normal skin, he wanted to kill you. And this one, it was just, this guy was, I guess, he was bullied in school and depressed and all types of shit. And it's just like, dude, we hear, it's kind of like what I said in previous episodes, we hear the same thing, that this seems to be more of a mental thing. Like, these people are mentally fucked off, rather than they're just some sick maniacal asshole that just wants to cause chaos.
And you know what sucks more than anything, not to belittle it, but most of these shootings that are happening, that I'm looking at these charts, almost every single one out of these top 12s, the shooter ends up killing himself.
Yeah.
It's not like, and it's like you're doing all this damage and ruining people's lives, and then you're not being held accountable for what you did.
I mean, but how can you hold one person accountable for, say, 19 deaths?
People need a way to grieve, and how people grieve is due to aggression.
Justice.
So their justice and their aggression, and someone being held accountable for doing the harm. It's like the equivalent of I get in a car accident.
Yes.
And obviously I'm upset. I want to take out my frustration on the person who hit me.
Yes.
And then they decided to just drive away from the accident.
Technically, you were in a similar
The same situation in this freaking place. Someone hitting my car, and then it's like, yes, I want to take my aggression out on this person, but the person isn't, I can't at that time and place. And with this, it's like the people don't have the ability to grieve because they're losing their loved ones, and then being able to not get justice for what it is, because every single one of these.
Would an explanation really do it?
Not an explanation, just the concept of you need that energy to go somewhere, and now you're stuck holding it in because there's no one to put it on.
I see where
this
you're coming
person
from.
did damage and should be held accountable for what they did.
Yeah.
And now they decided to take the fucking easy way.
Yeah, because a lot of them do.
Shoot out. Because it's either like, even when I'm looking at Paddock's one for the October 1st, killed himself.
Yeah.
The club one, he got in a shootout and got killed.
Yeah.
This one killed himself.
They'll do that. They'll write
self-inflicted gunshot. Yeah, they're all self-inflicted.
Virginia
Tech was another one that was 32, and that one he turned a gun on himself, killed himself.
Well, they'll write a manifesto or some fucking shit, and then they'll put some stuff out, and then they'll give themselves some type of name, or they'll get in a shootout, and then they'll kill themselves, or they'll want the police to kill them, so they can go on a blaze of glory. Yeah. And so one of the things I heard previously from some of my YouTube subscriptions, especially about major media, is sometimes they will unintentionally glorify these people by giving them cool nicknames, like, the Twisted Back Alley Slinger or something like that. And it's almost like it's hyping them up. And so it's sending the wrong message. And it's almost like you're seeing it happen. Like, now we have another kid. And I live in a perfect world in my head, a perfectly fucked up world. But I thought mass shooters were going to be like old, crotchety, pissed off army vets.
So there's another thing too, and if you really look into it, is that every mass shooting that I've seen so far, all male.
Yes, they're all male, young.
Y'all relatively young.
They're not. They're maybe 40 at the oldest.
No, not even 40.
Not even 40.
Well, no, I guess. Well, yeah, because Paddock was up there, but most of these ones are all male with different ethnicities, be it black, white, Asian, whatever. And it's like seeing that the outcome is the same. It's like, what's going on in the male mind that's affecting. This is like, to pull away from this, because I don't want to linger on topics like this. I already have to deal with it.
No, I agree. This is the mental part of it, though.
The mental aspect of what is going on in a teenage male's mind or an adult male's mind, to where they have to decide that they need to take everybody else's life before taking their own.
I think this goes back to, like, I can only reflect on, of course, our own life experience. Mm-hmm. As young men, we needed outlets to get our aggression out on. Mm-hmm. I've done some dumb shit. I'm pretty sure I broke my knuckles at one point because I punched the wall full force.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think my girlfriend at the time had broken up with me or cheated on me, some dumb shit. Mm-hmm. and I just wanted to take my anger out. So I started hitting stuff and breaking stuff. We'd go into the desert, break glass bottles. It just felt like we had some outlets. I won't say more, but we had some outlets as young men that we could kind of lash out every now and again.
It's that itch you need to scratch in order to put, because you can't. Not you can't. I'm not justifying anything that's happening with
of course,
what I'm reading through all of these things, because at the end of the day, your own self-infliction.
You're in control.
You're in control. Your own self-infliction shouldn't affect other people.
Yeah.
It's like you're seeking attention in order to try and get a reaction in order to make yourself feel better.
Right.
So imposing your will on other people that have nothing to do with why you're hurting is like, for me, that's the most scumbag way to go out. I don't give a fuck what's going on, because we all go through shit. I go through shit just as much. Depression's a thing for everybody. And yes, that outlet, that anger, which it's good to hear that, I'm not the only one, and I'm sure you're not, and anybody else is. We're not the only ones as just males in general where we have this pent up. That's why like everybody always makes that comment about how little boys have all this energy because they're bouncing off the wall, and girls tend to be a little more docile.
Yes.
It's over time that energy needs to be dispersed into something.
It needs to go somewhere.
When you have a kid and it's a boy and they're young, you got to put them in sports.
Yeah.
Because if not, they're going to do shit destructive down the road.
Yes.
So controlling that energy is a good thing, but now does it become a thing, which is what I saw? Do you blame the parent? Do you blame social media? Do you blame politics?
First of all, you don't blame. When it comes to blame, the finger goes in so many different directions. You can't. I hate how people try and just focus on one thing. They're like with the Columbine kids. They're like, oh, they listen to Marilyn Manson. It's all that rock and roll. Oh, they're playing Grand Theft Auto where you can just kill people for free. It's like, dude, that's a small, if that's even a factor, that is the most minute. Me and Lynn have listened to fucking hard rock our entire lives and never wanted to harm anybody.
No.
Played Grand Theft Auto. Lynn has played some of the most goriest horror games I can think of.
Don't put my personal stuff out there, right?
I'm sorry. But I
remember Manhunt was pretty good.
Right, Manhunt, that's what it was. But he's never, ever in his life, even shown me that he has the ability to take a life. Now, deep down at the core, self-defense wise, if I need to, obviously, yeah. But as far as just going out and taking innocent life, I'm not had that urge.
I'm not doing it in an emotional reaction.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not premeditated.
It's like, what's going on in your head? You know what I mean? And who do you need to talk to? Because I hate how it's like, oh, well, we should have listened more. We should have been more of this. Well, did he reach out? Did he make the attempt to fix himself?
I'm not going to be psychologist and pick into somebody's head that obviously I don't know.
Right.
But there's been times, and this is more or less just to go off of how I felt, where uncomfortably people don't have the ability to just go to someone and talk to for help because they don't want to be judged.
True.
So what happens is you throw emotional cues. Like if I'm talking to my significant other or friend, I'm not just going to go to step to you and be like, hey, I had a shit day and this is why I want to shit.
Right.
Because it's embarrassing. It makes you feel uncomfortable because you're like, okay, well, I'm at this point where it's like, I don't want to share my information with you, but I'm tired of feeling like this and I need to get something out. So you'll put out little feeders like, hey, this happened today.
Yeah.
And then see what the reaction is. If they don't give you anything, then with this person.
No, you're right.
From what the mom was saying from a portion of the interview that I heard, she said, don't judge my son based off of this direct action because he was normally a very quiet boy at home.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is like, was he a quiet boy at home to her?
I was going to say in her eyes.
In her eyes, or was she unaware of the actions?
Very much
because
unaware.
He might have been throwing her feeders of what was happening and she might have just been ignoring it.
Well, no, because even going off what you said, throwing out little breadcrumbs, you know what I mean?
There you go, breadcrumbs.
Just based off of our previous relationships. When we throw out the breadcrumbs, they completely miss the fucking breadcrumb. So it's like, do the people around you know you well enough? Are you doing this around strangers? You know what I mean?
And one of the things that I like, so today I had to teach a class for VDI, verbal defensive influence, and when I was teaching this class, one of these things you have to go through is off of being empathetic versus sympathetic.
Yes.
So empathy is where you put yourself in that person's situation and you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position in order to feel what they're feeling.
Right.
But in doing that, you relate with them, which helps them get out of it.
Right.
So it's a very, very crippling thing. Like if I want to be empathetic with you, I could also get hurt in the process.
Yes.
Sympathy is kind of like silver lining the situation.
Oh, hey, bro, the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. He goes, I got a flat tire on my way to work and I've been stressed because me and my girl got a fight, and at the end of it, I'm like, man, that sucks, but hey, at least you made it to work.
Right.
Like, I'm kind of shutting down the ability
past that point.
of you caring.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it hard. Is not a lot of people have empathy nowadays.
Yes.
So if you're going into feeling a certain way, you look for people that have empathy in order to make you feel more whole.
Yes.
But people don't want to show that vulnerable part of themselves. So being like an officer in general, the reason why.
But at what point do you draw the line? You know what I mean? Because me and you, you know what I mean? We are not emotional people by no stretch of the imagination. I'll shed a tear if my dog dies, my mom dies.
It takes a lot for me to shed a tear.
You know what I mean? I'm internally emotional, but not externally emotional. So at what point is it like, okay, I'm so backed into a corner that I feel I'm going to hurt somebody. Okay, now is it okay for me to look like a punk? Now is it okay for me to feel vulnerable?
Yeah, because you're going to get a lot of people, like I said, the concept of having that empathy is that I know your vulnerability isn't something that you're personally putting out there. It's just something because eventually you cracked.
Yeah,
but
everybody
then
cracks.
You get people that put it out and then other people that make fun of you for it.
Yes.
And it's like, well, fuck, I feel like shit because I shared something personal with you and you're turning into a fucking joke.
And that's what I mean. This isn't like I said, this guy isn't just a bad kid. He wasn't just born the spawn of Satan. You know what I mean? He obviously had a somewhat decent life up until this point.
Right.
You know what I mean? His mom, apparently the people around him thought he was a pretty good kid. So it's like, that's why I say we have to understand the psychology of these situations to really understand what drives people to these situations. Because I don't want to blanket statement this kid. I don't want to make it seem like he's just the salt of the earth and he deserves to die or whatever. That wasn't the point.
And that's what social media is doing right now. Be like same thing when it comes to politics. People saying it's the left or the right. People use it as a political gain in order to push them for anti-gun laws.
Right.
Like that would have changed anything. Then it makes it more or less the equivalent. Not that I'm not against guns. I'm pro-gun. I guess more or less it comes in a situation for, let's say, the person who came in there and de-escalated and, took this kid's life. Well, I'm not going to put his name out there.
Yeah.
But it was a parent that was previously armed to be able to come in there and put that situation. You take away the ability for people to be able to own guns.
Yes.
You take away the ability for people to also defend themselves.
Well, I mean, we turn into the UK.
Yes. So if this kid got firearms and started doing everything inside of the school and nobody was able to come in there that counted them other than law enforcement, because a lot of things like you saw for Philly D's, they were getting mad because law enforcement waited 45 minutes to an hour.
They wouldn't let the parents
to go in there and control the situation. And Texas is huge on pro-guns.
Right.
So someone else got in there and put the kid down. Now, had he not put him down, that number could have gone from 19 to higher.
Well, no. So from what I've seen, like Lynn said, I was watching Philly D, did a little research on my own. The cops showed up, the local police showed up, kind of barricaded the place off or whatever, got the parents away from the facility. But it looked like, and I'm going to strongly say looked like, the cops were just standing around for about a good 45 minutes waiting for backup before they were going to breach the facility. Now, from what we've heard through press conferences since then is politicians and governors and sheriffs saying that's not protocol for an active shooter because, and I have this sympathy, so I'm going to try not to get ahead of myself. The whole protocol is, and I can't break it down step by step, but he gave us an overview, was you're the first on the scene, you need to breach. Like, no cap, no stop. Like, you breach. Because the fact of the matter is we're trying to limit the amount of casualties. We know there are casualties. We're trying to make sure that number is as low as possible. So if I have 15 officers standing outside of a active shooter situation and nobody's guns drawn, and none of these cops, none of their guns were drawn, none of them had their body armor. They might have had body armor on. Most cops wear that naturally.
They do,
but none of their guns were drawn. It wasn't like they were in a defensive manner, like waiting to breach, and they just couldn't. They were just standing around, like just hands on hips, just.
Yeah.
Well, stay back.
Where to go, right?
And my thing is, when it comes to being an officer, I'm sorry, bro, or sis, that's what the fuck you sign up for. That's why it says to protect and serve. I expect your ass wearing the badge to protect me by jumping in front of the bullet that could potentially come at me, because that's serving me by protecting me. That's your whole existence for being. As long as you have that badge on. Once you're off the clock, whatever you choose to do after that is up to you. But with that uniform on, your goal is to protect and serve.
I do agree with that. And my add to it is, let's say if an officer is being limited of controlling that situation. And that's the biggest thing, is that if we're responding to a call, and my job as a representative of whatever state, whatever county, whatever property is that I need to control the situation, being a first responder, if I can't do that job, I shouldn't be able to withdraw someone else from being able to do something. So what's happening is that because they're not gaining access to the building for whatever reason, why they couldn't breach, there's probably obviously shit that we don't know about.
Right, of course.
Let people else, I don't know how to explain it. This goes into electing officials and putting, whatever for city council or who's going to be your sheriff and stuff like that. You're voting to let this person control your right to do things under certain circumstances. So at the end of the day, whatever they decide to do, they could have waited 5 hours. We elected these people to be in that vicinity to control it. Because my thing is that if I don't think you're going to go in there and save my kid, I'm going in there.
I'm going to do it myself.
But then it's their lawful right to stop you from doing it, which it turns into this big thing of like, well, if you're not going to let me go do what I need to do, and you're not going to do it,
who's going to do it?
Who the fuck is going to do it? And that's what makes it hard. It's like, if I'm going to give you the ability to protect me, and like you said, the equivalent of you jumping, if I can't stop the bullet from coming to hit me, you better get in front of me and stop it, because I can't do anything, because then I might have you drawing on me, because I'm making a counteraction. So I do agree with you. I see a perspective of that. The wait time, things obviously change because that's considered a hostage situation. I don't know what it is to do that if they were to breach in without getting full detail.
No,
they could have honestly turned it into a fire.
They didn't know if he had explosives.
They didn't know if there was multiple
assault rifle.
Yeah, they didn't know if it was multiple shooters. It's like it's
so then that's what I mean. I agree with you. I don't want them charging in gung ho blind. Running into a crossfire or firefight, anything like that. But it's one of those things of, but this is why we feel safe, because when we make the phone call for 911 and the officer, the vehicle shows up, I now feel a sense of almost relief, because now I can put what was on me on you. You have the gun. You have the bulletproof vest.
Training and everything.
You have the backup. I can't, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things of now the whole public is shaken up. Okay, now as if cops didn't have enough shit to deal with before with the defunding the police and police reform and all that shit from BLM and all those protests and stuff. Now everybody's going to be watching you like a hawk, as if they weren't already, because the body cam footage and shit, we've seen the illegal traffic stops and unnecessary arrests and blah. Here's yet another thing that they're going to get slapped with, because it's just like, I get it. You always have to have a level of delicacy, of finesse for situations. I've never been in this type of situation before. So obviously I'm coming from somewhat an emotional standpoint, but also a purely fictitious standpoint. It's not real, because I've never been in that situation. But knowing what I know, my parents are law enforcement. Lynn works alongside law enforcement. I've worked alongside law enforcement. I've been on both sides of the law. I've been arrested, and I've had to do the arresting. I've seen and know enough to kind of understand. Lynn's been a part of an active shooter and been involved in an active shooter situation. So it's one of those things of, it's almost a tug of war. It's like, okay, we know someone's going to die. Who's pulling the short stick? And I hate that it comes to that, because as human beings, we have a natural instinct to survive. All of us have a natural instinct to survive. Literally, to kill yourself, to physically commit the suicide, it actually puts you into some type of psychological category, because 9 times out of 10, your body will not let you hurt itself. You may receive harm, but 9 times out of 10, your body will only let you hurt yourself to a certain extent that it's not life-threatening.
It's the equivalent of someone trying to throw a punch at you and then you not knowing how to not flinch.
Right.
Because your natural instinct is to try to wean away, because the body wants to stop itself.
Right.
Or if you're falling and you put your hands behind your back, your natural instinct is to brace yourself.
Right.
Because you're not just going to fall on the
ground. You're trying to avoid the pain.
The pain of you hitting the ground face first.
So yes. when you respond to a call and you hear gunshots, as a parent, I'm going Super Saiyan. I don't care. I really don't give a shit. I'll pick up a stick. I'll snap a twig off of a tree. I'm going in to get my kid. You can't stop me. On the other side, you have the cops who have to protect the people who are, quote unquote, not in danger, who are on the outside. You want to stop them from getting in, and you want to stop the person on the inside from getting out. It's a very perplexing situation. It's a very complex situation. You're threading a needle at that point. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, what happened.
So
I feel we could have done things better. I should say it like that.
And I do agree. There was one, I should have fucking brought it up, but there was one not too long ago, pretty recently. I don't know if it was considered a mass shooting or not, but it was the same thing. There were casualties inside of a school. And was it the El Paso one? No, because it was a Walmart. Where there was an active shooter inside of a school, and there was something that I thought sounded pretty good, which would have been a really good situation. There was an active shooter inside the school, people died, and then they were talking about arming the teachers.
Yes.
Now, my thing it's a good opportunity. That I feel like that is a good thing. I feel like if you're going to have a situation, why not arm and train?
Yes,
the
and
staff?
train.
Yeah, you're training. You're not just giving them a gun.
Well,
and telling
no,
them
that was the problem with that proposal. Yeah. They didn't want to train. They didn't want to pay for teachers to be trained.
And that's what turns into a thing, is you're going to have people try to do these fucking memorials and go right back to, we want to make sure this doesn't happen again, so we're going to do gun laws. And I'm sorry to say it like this, but I'm being 100% real. In 2 weeks, people are going to fucking forget about it.
It's going to be a new thing.
Because something else is going to happen, and it's going to go right back to the same thing.
Because now we got monkeypox or something on the rise.
Yeah,
that's dumb shit. We're not going to cover it, but right now, yeah.
It's just... each traumatic event that happens here in the U.S. gets trumped by another traumatic event. Yes. And it gets so backpiled that by the time something happens again, people refer back to where that last traumatic event happened.
Yes.
When it could have been fixed, had they put together a separate party to handle that situation. Anytime that there's something serious that happens, you need to put a branch next to them and be like, hey, we're going to move forward, obviously, because things change.
Yes.
But you're going to stay here.
This is your job.
This is your job.
This is your life.
To fix this so this doesn't happen again. Arm teachers, get them trained. If they can de-escalate a situation.
Is that enough? Because these dudes are coming in with body armor, assault rifles. Amen. Teacher's going to have a 9mm Glock at best.
Hey, that's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
You said, I'd rather have a stick in a knife fight than no stick at all. But then to what extent?
But that's what I'm saying. It's going to escalate, because then it's like, okay, then we need to arm the kids. Not obviously elementary school, but you have high schoolers. Once you're over the age of, 16, 18, you can own a gun.
What they could do, in my reach to this to kind of sum this up, is that it's the equivalent of like having like campus security. You need to have someone on property.
Yes.
Be it one person.
Yes. By the way, there was no campus security on site at that time. Yes.
One person on property that's armed. Just one. It doesn't have to be 100 people.
What if the shooter takes him out first?
Okay, then a backup one too. So
that's
then
run
in a two-man squad.
At what point do you have enough people to stop an active shooter?
Start with one and see where it goes. If another one fucking happens, then you know to up the numbers.
But that's what I'm saying, and that's where we're at now. We're not doing anything.
They're not doing anything.
We're not even trying.
They're not putting any perspective to try and help, other than all they're doing is active shooter drills.
Yes.
You know how stupid that shit is? Is that if I'm an active shooter and I know that you are going to run away from my situation.
Yes.
I'm going to plan for you to exit a certain way. And that's like...
Bro, it's not even that.
Why? Yeah. Like
if say me and you had, at school, say we had active shooter drills. Do you know, because they did that in one of these states, it was a few months back, maybe a year ago, they had active shooter drills for the kids. They didn't tell the kids that they were having the drill, so these kids thought it was real. So parents' phones blew up. Their kids thought they were about to die. Parents freaked the fuck out. And they're like, no, it's just a drill. It's just a drill. So what they're saying is it's psychologically damaging for the child to have to think, to have that in the back of their head. So not only do I have to get through school.
I would rather be, and I know this sounds shitty, I would rather my kid be psychologically worried about that than not be alive.
But what if they can't pass school? What if you can't get good grades now?
That's another thing they got to deal with. It's the pros and cons of taking one thing away, the comfort of just, I'm going to go to school and live my life and nothing's going to happen.
Right.
Opposed to, I'm going to have a hard time grasping that things are going to happen, but at least I'm alive to do it.
Yes.
Because they're not just going to take away education at the end of the day, but they need to try to find a way to control the situation. And these drills are garbage. It's either, what are your options? I run out of the building and hope I don't get shot on the way out, or I hide under a desk and hope that person doesn't come in.
Yes.
Which is
insane.
It's all defensive. It's like a lion getting attacked by a gazelle, and a gazelle either running away or stopping and waiting to be attacked. I would rather arm that situation to where the people that are on the defense can also have an opportunity to be offensive.
You know what it's almost going to feel like, and I'm saying this as sarcastically as possible, it feels like in a dystopian future, prison or schools are going to be like prisons. Because you know how prisons have those sliding electronic doors and they got bulletproof glass on them. and they're like hella thick.
There's a couple schools like that. Like if you go to certain parts of town, obviously you go to a gas station that has a high crime rate. There's bars on the fucking window,
right?
So that's what it's.
You know what I mean? It's gonna be like, oh, go to your cell, and they're gonna lock you in.
It's subtle changes for the worse, and it's like for my thing, like I said, because I kind of wrap this up.
Yeah.
For my thing, it would be put 1 or 2 people that are really well trained, and their job there is to defend any situation.
Yeah,
anything,
all time,
and it doesn't have to
24/7.
Like the equivalent of. No, this is just to wrap up with the security aspect. So security, because it doesn't matter since I don't work at that property anymore. You have your basic security officers, which do everything. You know, they respond to calls, they put people in mechanical restraints, they detain, they process, they kick off property.
Right.
Metropolitan Police Department, they just come to arrest. They take that person to jail.
Yeah.
If there's a fight, you're not waiting for the cops to come to stop the fight. These officers are stopping the fight.
Yes.
Next to these officers is a group called ERT, the Emergency Response Team.
Yes.
ERT is like if you were to compare a normal soldier to Master Chief from Halo. These guys are armed to the teeth with Kevlar.
Right.
And they've got inside carry, firearms. They've got everything deployable.
Yes.
Their purpose is to, if a situation gets out of hand, if there's a firearm, an active shooter, domestic violence, anything super serious with a weapon, they step in. They're always there to shadow the officers.
Yes.
So my thing is, each property, you remember back in the day when we went to high school, we had
like 3 or 4 campus monitors.
Yeah. And anytime there was a fight, and I remember there was a really stocky Hawaiian lady.
Yeah.
She would run. You know what I'm talking about.
Her,
she was so friendly, but when
everybody
shit hit the fan,
she
would
was
come
there,
flying in there and just knock these kids out, spear them into a fucking wall, and slam them on the ground because they could go.
She knew what to do.
She knew what to do. They could go hands on. Allow these campus monitors to be there, and then have that Master Chief on backup.
But it's funding. They need the funding to do it.
It's one person's salary.
I mean,
you're
honestly,
already paying enough money.
I say you need 2 to 3 people in rotation.
If you told 3-man squad cycle through and tell people, hey, just so you know, we're going to be changing some of the funding to go into a program, and this program will be called, I'm just going to quote something like the Protect and Serve program.
Yeah.
And what it is that we need to hire a specific person to come in here with a specific set of skills that can kind of just oversee so this doesn't happen again.
Because you don't even need to hire. I guarantee you have parents that will volunteer.
It can't be a volunteer thing. I want somebody.
No, that's what I mean. Not like a normie.
Like not a neighborhood
but like
watch.
I'm sure a lot of these parents are ex-military.
But even
retired,
still, they're going to do
something.
this thing. You can't have someone in there that has zero attachment to anybody. Because if I put a parent in there,
yes.
that parent, you know what they're going to do? They're going to, if they know there's an active shooter, they're not going to go deter the situation. If it's my parent mentality, regardless of how well I'm trained, I'm going to go make sure my kid is okay first, and then detain that, which takes them a mobility.
I'll give you that one. Yeah,
you need to put someone in there that has no connection to the school, that has like how ERT is. You can't, as me as a person.
I mean, that's going to happen, bro.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, it's few. I can't say that anymore. The gap in between shootings. So say we set this team, so a 3-man team there. Nothing happens for 2-3 years. These guys are going to get comfortable on site. They're going to get to know the kids around there. They're going to see a whole class
over a time frame.
You know what
I
mean?
Which is understandable. But
so
at
it's
least
almost the same thing as a parent.
You at least know. At the end of the day, I wouldn't want to have a parent. I would want someone that I know is like the movie Taken.
Yeah,
I know you are.
You have a special set of skills.
Yes, exactly. I'm a contract person where I have, and for ERT's training, in order to get there, like it's something I've always wanted to do because I am an active individual and I just like those high intensity situations. But the only reason why I can't get in is because you have to have 4 years of law enforcement or military training. And in law enforcement, if you're in military and it's not law enforcement, you have to be an MP, military police, because you need to know how to. They don't want just infantry, because if you put someone there that's just infantry, their mind is when I tell you to clear a room, they're coming in there and they're clearing,
they're trigger happy
and taking everybody out. MPs know when I'm clearing a room, I need to make sure everybody's okay, and if there's a threat, let me eliminate it.
Right.
Not there's a threat, I'm gonna fucking eliminate it and just fan out the entire room.
Right, spray and pray.
So you need someone that has that customer service aspect of knowing how to talk and mingle with the crowd, but also can deactivate and de-escalate a situation if it turns into it. That's my take on it. Putting in somebody, because you're not going to arm a teacher, and a teacher at the end of the day be comfortable enough to draw and fucking put out.
Yeah.
Opposed to, let me pay one person $50,000 a year, nothing too fucking crazy, and let me know that I know if there is an active shooter, there is someone in there trying to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Rather than everybody fucking hiding under a desk and waiting and hoping that law enforcement's going to come in there and breach the whole thing.
Yeah. So I mean, and so the whole goal of this is not to sit around and be upset and dreary about it. It's let's take action.
Be proactive.
Let's fix things. Let's spread the word. Let's talk about this. If this is going to be a hot button topic, let's talk about it. Let's build off of this. How can we do better? So just in case, because I know we didn't do this at the beginning. So sorry. Feel free to check us out. We just started up a TikTok. We have our Patreon. We have our Teespring shop and our website, projectairwaves.com. If you want to check us out on all other platforms, we're on Anchor, Spotify, blah, 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 blah. Go look for us. I'm sure you'll find us. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any input, if you have any insight, if there's anything you want to add to this conversation, if you have an opposing thought, feel free to reach out. Leave a comment, also with a like and a subscription preferably. But leave a comment on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
If you're a Patreon, write us a direct message. If you're not either, go ahead and send us an email at our Gmail account. You can always sign up to our email subscription on our website, projectairwaves.com. Lynn, you got anything else?
No, man, I'm good. As much as I didn't want to go down the dark web of TikTok, that's an active thing now. We're trying to bring a lot more eyes our way. We're growing.
Yes. Advertising.
The advertisement's getting up there. I mean, as long as we've been drawn out, I was hoping we'd have already gotten to 100 episodes by now.
Shut up.
We're almost there.
We're close.
We're getting there.
We're close.
I think that'll be a pretty cool thing. But the merch is actually coming out. If you go to the website,
yes.
I saw it for the first time yesterday. D's been very, very productive, so let's give it up to him, because that was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, there's so many pictures in there, there's so many different videos. It's still in its infancy phases, but man, it's actually showing that we're here.
We're making progress.
And we're actually trying to be a part of something.
Yes.
Long term, this platform is definitely going to bring, hopefully, a good community together to where everybody can kind of relate. We can all be on the same page and kind of boost one another in order to be a better version of ourselves.
Yeah, most definitely. So don't forget, check us out, show us some love, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff.
Please say hello to me.
Keep your head in the clouds.
And keep your feet on the ground, always moving forward.
I'm D.
This is Lynn.
Project Airwaves signing out. We'll catch you in the next episode. This was bad, but you did so good.
So good.